This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. I'm delighted to be joined on the phone today by Frank Warren. How are you, Frank?
I'm fine, Rob. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Not as good as you, sunning it up in Portugal.
Oh, I want to know that. I might get burglars, mate.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll hold off on this until you get back. How's that?
Good lad. All right, mate. Go, mate.
So, talk to me, Frank. What's been happening?
What's been happening? We've been working very hard. We're trying. We're still in talks regarding Tyson and Wilder. We're quite close to getting that done. So that's quite a lot, really.
Yeah, so I mean, the last time I spoke to you was the other day at the Jack Catterall O'Hara Davis announcement press conference. I think the number that was bandied about was between 95 and 99% done. Is there any update on that?
I think we're really hitting the 99% now.
Okay. What issues, if any, are there? I mean, if any that I'm allowed to be privy to are holding it up?
No, it's nothing holding us up. It's just a matter of getting a few things sorted out between us. No problems. The talks are going very well. And I think, as I say, it's very close to being inked.
Is the venue still America? I know there's been a lot of talk about the fight. As I understand it, it's not quite feasible to have it over here. Any particular reason for that?
No, I think they want to go to the States. Wilder's the champion, and I think he wants to defend his title in the States. I think that's what it is as far as is concerned. I'm quite sure it could have been done, but I think the big thing is that Tyson also wants to travel.
How refreshing is that for you to have a deal that's essentially? I mean, the first time I spoke to you about it was about probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and people say things, and you work in boxing long enough that sometimes you don't necessarily take things sometimes with a pinch of salt, and then all of a sudden it's dramatically accelerated. I mean, how is it been having a negotiation that seemingly has come out of the blue, and you're on the verge of one of the biggest fights in world boxing?
I think the reason being because there's a will by everybody to do it. Wilder, you've got to take your hat off to him. He wants to fight the best. Tyson, he feels he's ready to go. He wants it, and I've been talking to Shelly Finkel, who's Deontay's manager, and he works with Al Heyman. And Shelly's a very experienced guy. He's been around for even longer than me. He's involved with some of the best fighters in boxing, and if there's a will, there's a way to make it happen, and there's certainly a will to get this done.
So how long have you and Shelly Finkel been speaking about this?
Well, I've been talking to Shelly. I speak to him quite a lot, because obviously we've got a few fighters that we work with, that he manages. And what happened is when Shelly was trying to get the deal done for Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua, he was asking me certain things. What did I think? And I was sort of giving him my sort of free pennyworth, and it just went on from there. It just moved on from that situation.
Tell me a little bit about that, because we spoke about this the other day with your old pal Tony Bellew on TalkSport. Lots been made of the fact that you claim, or you say that you've had something to do with the contract, or you had something to do with the contract that was sent over to Anthony Joshua. Is that the norm? I've seen them because I helped them. They was looking at what the numbers would be, what we'd generate from pay-per-view if they got the fight. What would BT pay for it and so forth, and that's how it came about. In the end, I knew what the deal was, and Shelly, let me see what it was, and that's it. That's how I know that offer was made. It wasn't crap; it was a genuine offer, and it was made. And that's for Tony Bellew. I don't care what Tony Bellew said. Tony Bellew, he's so stuck up. Sky and Eddie Hearn's backsides. I mean, he only sees what bit of sun comes from there, and that's really it. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what Tony Bellew said. The fact of the matter is, I was privy to it. I did, I very much did know and see what the offer was, and that's it.
Doesn't matter what he's got to say or anybody else has got to say for that matter. Why would I say that? You know, nothing's in it for me. You know, I'm just working and helping Shelly to work out what we generated from the UK.
Is that sort of thing between promoters common? Does that sort of thing happen often? Are you often?
You know, of course it does. I mean, you know, you work against, like the other week, the purse bid, or when was it last week? The purse bid for Kid Galahad is with Hearn and that. And we worked with the American promoter, put the bid in, and they didn't even put a bid in for it. We jointly won the purse bid for the fight. You know, you work with people on things, and that's how it is. And it's not like Shelly Finkel's got too much love for Eddie Hearn, is he? I mean, after all the abuse and whatever and all the stupid name calling that he was giving him, so that's how it is. You know, we've got a fighter that we look after, who we signed, the kid from up in Scotland. He's with us, and he's managed by Shelly. So
right.
I speak to Shelly 2-3 times a day on some occasions.
So it's just one of those things of, you know, it happens a bit more often than people are potentially, you know, the layman like me who's not privy to contract negotiations. It happens a little bit more often than we think.
I might say to, you know, if I'm making a bid for a fighter, I'm trying to put something together, I may say to, you know, reverse the thing round, say to Shelly Finkel, listen, how much money would Bill Bloggs generate in New York? You know, a lot of people go to watch him because I'm looking at purse bids or putting an offer in. What do you reckon? And he would tell me. It's the same with, you know, over us. He was, you know, they were trying to work out what they felt that the pay-per-view would generate for a Wilder fight against Joshua, which would have been huge. It's a huge fight. The same as it is with against Tyson. They're big fights. It's a big fight.
Does that frustrate you, that going back and forward in the media?
No, it doesn't bother with anything. What's been? Who cares? I mean, it was a bit of a setup by TalkSport anyway when they got me on there. I mean, that was all about trying to generate something with Tony Bellew and Tyson Fury. That's what they were trying to do. But obviously, we took the wind out of their sails, or I did, by saying to them that we were very close to Tyson being the guy that's going to fight Wilder, and we were looking for bigger, better things than Dylan White or Tony Bellew for Tyson Fury, which we are, which we had done. And, you know, look, let's get it right with Eddie Hearn. A couple of weeks ago, I've been reading over the last few days, a couple of weeks ago, Hearn said he didn't want to sign Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury wouldn't fight anybody. A couple of days ago, and I've seen them interviews, the fight with Wilder won't happen. It's too soon for him. He shouldn't be having fights like that yet. He doesn't think it's going to happen. Tyson's not got the confidence for it, and whatever. You know, what planet are they? You know, why do they say these things? They're like, you know, if it doesn't come from his mouth, then it doesn't mean anything. And the fact of the matter is, you know, boxing's not just about him. Boxing's about guys who want to make the big fights, making them happen, and not bullshitting the public. The reason Anthony Joshua is not and will not fight Wilder is because the trainer, Robert McCracken, doesn't fancy it, nor does Eddie Hearn fancy it. And they just signed that deal, apparently, with Wembley, which tells you they weren't even willing to travel or go to the States because they've done his next two fights to take place at Wembley. That's where they're at. I mean, all the rubbish about they were going to fight Wilder, they didn't want it. I told everybody at the time, he will fight Povetkin. That's the fight they'll make. And that's how it turned out. I mean, even this weekend in the Telegraph, Hearn come out with with yet more bullshit about how boxing, it worked for him, boxing was dead. 10 years ago, boxing was taking place in small gymnasiums and places where, you know, hoops at either end. Well, you know, 9 years ago, the reason boxing, if he wants to say died, and it died on Sky, and they stopped doing pay-per-views because he brought back Audley Harrison, and he put Audley Harrison with David Haye, and it stunk the joint out, which caused Sky to stop doing pay-per-view, which for a while killed boxing. But in the meantime, what boxing was 10 years ago is dead. Go and look at the books and look at the record books and see what fights were going on back then. See who Khan was fighting. I think Kawasaki was still around. You know, go and look at who was fighting them. They weren't Eddie Hearn shows. There's plenty of shows on, big shows on. You know, I can remember even when we launched Box Nation. I remember our first big world title fight on there was Tony Bellew in Liverpool. Tony Bellew against Cleverly. Derek Chisora against David Hay. You know, all these fights, you know, it's just rubbish, but it keeps saying it, and people keep believing it. Say, don't go and check the facts. They don't go and look them up and see what actually did happen and what was going on back then. And the fact is, what killed boxing on Sky back then and stopped pay-per-view was Eddie Hearn making the fight between David Hay and Audley Harrison. Stunk the place out.
Do you think with Tyson 99% over the line to fight Deontay Wilder, do you think Eddie Hearn and Matchroom are worried about how that will potentially portray them?
Well, of course it will. You know, they've got a golden goose there and they don't want to kill it. He's fighting for Vetkin, Anthony Joshua. That's what he's doing. And, you know, Anthony Joshua's been good for them. He's been good for British boxing, but he's been great for them. He's been good for them. I always knew he would be. I wanted to sign him. Sky have done a fantastic job. He's, you know, doing how they got behind him and did what they did. But that made the difference at the time between Eddie Hearn's success and not having success. And it was him. It's Anthony Joshua who carried the whole thing for him. How can they now ever point a finger at Tyson Fury? You know, how can they say that? How can Eddie Hearn say what he was saying only up until recently, that Tyson Fury won't fight anybody? That's what he said out in his mouth. He did not want to fight him because all he wanted to do was fight bums. Well, there you go. Yet again, that was untrue.
Just touching on that, because when I've spoken to you over the last few months, and conversely when Tyson has spoken in the press, there hasn't always been... There's been sometimes the element of Tyson as a fighter and you as a promoter has been Tyson has said one thing, you've said something slightly different. With regards to the Deontay Wilder fight, who's the driving force behind getting this fight done? I mean, I assume that you're both on the same page with regards to wanting the fight, but whose initial idea was it? Who's the driving force behind that fight being done?
I think that the initial... I think it's the combination of three of us. Shelly Finkel, or four of us, I should say. Shelly Finkel, myself, Tyson, and Wilder. You know, Wilder reached out, wanted it to happen. Tyson, you know, has accommodated it. You know, between all of us, we said it was okay. Now, why am I allowing it? Why am I allowing it? Why do I want it to happen now? Because Tyson's got the bit between his teeth. Mentally, he's a different guy altogether now. You know, if you've seen recently, he's dropped even a bit more weight. He's still got to come through his fight on the 18th. It's no mean, you know, and that's going to be no foregone conclusion. If he comes through that fight and he looks okay, then, you know, we're good to go with it. You know, Wilder's coming over anyway. He's going to be commentating for BT for the fight. So, you know, we're all ready and all good to go. All good to go. And Tyson, you know, he's so up for this now. He's in such a good place physically, but more important mentally. So now there are moments to make fights, and I think this may be the moment.
Let's just move on to that card next week. I will be in attendance in Belfast. You'll be pleased to hear.
I'm very pleased.
Talk to me a little bit about that card. In particular, Luke Jackson, somebody been making a lot of noise lately. It seems like every time I open my laptop, he said something new about Carl Frampton. What do you make of that?
Well, look, you know, you've got to take your hat off to him. He's coming into Carl's backyard, and at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of talk about Tyson at the moment and what's happening. But at the end of the day, he's the main event. You know, it's always been his dream to box at Windsor Park. We've made that happen for him. And this guy, who, you know, he's ranked by the WBO, he fancies it. I mean, he seems a pretty cool customer when we did the press conference a few months back in Belfast. And he seems to be gaining more and more confidence. The fact he's not phased about coming over and fighting Carl in front of all his fans says a lot about him. But what do I think of Carl? You know, Carl's a tremendous fighter. He boxed a really intelligent fight last time out, and obviously he can't afford to let this fight slip, because there's another great fight that we're waiting to put together between him, provided he comes through, and Josh Warrington.
Talk to me a little bit about that. Deontay Wilder is on his way over, or will be over for the fight in Belfast. Is Josh Warrington going to make an appearance?
He will be at ringside. He'll be working as well for BT, and obviously at ringside for the fight. So, you know, that is quite an important night in Belfast, obviously for the boxers, but for future fights. So Carl's got to come through it okay. So has Tyson. And if they both come through their respective fights, then there's massive fights for both of them.
Do you think with Tyson and all of the sort of the furore and the media frenzy surrounding him and Deontay Wilder, do you think any element of Carl is not overshadowed? That's not the right word. But do you think there's an element of Carl that really wants to prove himself? I mean, this is as you say, his dream outing in front of his beloved Belfast crowd at Windsor Park. Do you think all of the sort of the media frenzy around Tyson will serve him well? Do you think it will work potentially negatively? What do you think about that?
Well, look, first of all, Charles in a tough fight. Tyson's in a fight which is part of his comeback, and it's not the main event. You also got Paddy Barnes on there in world title fight. But as far as Carl's concerned, he's a consummate professional. He knows what he's got to do. He knows that he can't afford to take his eye off the ball, and he can't be fazed by anything else. He's going to get a tremendous reception from his fans. They've come out in force. I think we've only got about 800 tickets left now. So you can imagine what the atmosphere is going to be like in Windsor Park on the 18th. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. And they will get behind their men. They will get behind Carl. They'll get behind Paddy. And they'll also get behind Tyson. But, the guy out there who's the main guy over there is obviously Carl. I mean, you think about it. Well, we've got the four biggest ticket-selling fighters in the UK are Anthony Joshua, Charles Frampton, and Josh Warrington on par with each other, and Tyson Fury. Two of those ticket sellers are on one show.
Must be nice to promote three of the four biggest ticket sellers in the UK, Frank.
Well, it is, but I mean, we've worked hard to make it happen. It didn't happen overnight. It's been quite a bit of a trek. But we've got the bit between our teeth. We've got a broadcaster behind us. We've had a great grounding through Fox Nation and working through that, bringing the guys through, and now we're benefiting from it, and they're certainly going to benefit from it, and the fans are going to benefit from us making the big fights happen, providing our guys keep winning.
Okay, well, just moving away from next week's card and all things Deontay Wilder, Anthony Yarde. I actually spoke to Anthony a couple of days ago and Tunde over in Atlantic City, where I think they're in Philadelphia at the minute doing some work with Danny Garcia. What did you make of the fights of the weekend? Obviously a big upset in the light heavyweight division. Sergei Kovalev was knocked out by Eleider Alvarez. Have you spoken to Tunde and Anthony since the fight? No,
I haven't. I haven't spoken to them. But before they left, I met with Tunde last week, and I told him, I said, listen, don't be surprised if this fella gets beat. He's ready to go. In my opinion, he's ready to go. And that's how it turned out. So I want to have a little bit more look at Alvarez, and obviously our man's number one, and I'm quite sure they will, during the next few months or so, they'll probably wind up ordering a mandatory defence. So it's all good for him.
Well, before I realised that you were off sunning yourself in Portugal, I thought we were going to get an announcement on Anthony Yarde this week. Is that now no longer the case?
No, we will be. We're just waiting to confirm his fight. What I don't want to do is announce the show, Rob, without the opponent in Anthony's case. We've done that a couple of times, and that's been because we've been waiting for contracts to be done. But we're quite close to getting this fight done. It'll be a decent fight for him. It's on a really good card with some good fights on the card. So we will be doing that this week. There will be an announcement this week.
Did the loss from Kovalev affect your plans at all with regards to Anthony? Was there a plan in place that included Kovalev? Does it now have to be revisited?
I've got to be honest. I could have made the Kovalev fight, and with the benefit of hindsight, maybe I should have done that. But do I feel that Anthony's ready to fight for a world title yet? I'm not quite sure. I want to see him have another fight and then make that decision. Whatever the people saying, a lot of this is generated because of what Hearn keeps saying about Buatsi, but whatever people think about it, he still has not had a lot of experience. 12 amateur fights, and I think he's had, 35, 40 rounds, I'm not sure whatever it is, in pro boxing. And I just want to see his next fight, and then Tunde here and I will make our decision.
Just finally, Frank, moving away from everything really, I was speaking to one of your young unbeaten chargers the other day, Umar Sadiq.
Yeah, well, there you go. Look who he's going to fight.
Who's he going to fight?
Well, we're trying at the moment, and we're working very hard to put him and Shelly together.
That's an interesting fight.
Well, we're putting fighters, their fights. They both with us, and it's a very, very interesting fight, and that's one I'd like to do. So we're working hard to try and make that happen.
Umar's somebody who promotes himself excellently, I think, across social media. He's been calling for a fight with Darryl Williams for a long time. Has that ever been something that's been close to made? Is the fight with Shelly potentially a precursor to that?
It may be. I mean, don't write off that Shelly. He can fight a bit, They're good fights. And as I say, all we want to do, we've got these guys there. They all want to fight. That's the good thing about it. They want to fight. They want to fight each other. It's not all this BS stuff that's being put out by a Sky-driven thing or a Talk Sport-driven thing. This Talk Sport, Sky, Sun newspaper, it's an unhealthy alliance. It's all cross-ownership. It's all about what cross-ownership, demonstrates what's bad about cross-media ownership. Because obviously Sky, Talk Sport, the Sun, they'll do their best to sell their fights on Sky TV. That's how it works. I know how it works. I used to work with them long before TalkSport got taken over by Murdoch or News International. But I work with them, so I know how it works. Nobody can tell me that. And when I'm reading some of the stuff online from the Sun, and you see like Wally Downs and the other kid in Atkinson, you read it how biased they are towards Sky fighters, and that's not journalism, that's dishonesty. I think that they owe the fans honesty. That's what they owe them. It's like, there's always something on there that's a little bit anti-us. And remember, I had a column on the News of the World and the Sun for 15 odd years. I've promoted on Sky. I know how it works. I know if a show's not selling well, you pick up the phone to the Sun and they help sell it. Because it shouldn't happen, but that's what happens. But now, what they're doing, that's not a problem. You're helping to sell something, but to denigrate the competition is not right, because that's not what independent media is supposed to do. That's not what TalkSport's supposed to do, and certainly that's not what the Sun newspaper is supposed to do. That's not what it's all about. They're supposed to be unbiased and report facts.
Well, you'll always find unbiased facts here at Boxing Social.
Absolutely.
Frank, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. I won't keep you too long because I know you're very busy and you must be desperate for a break. So I will love you and leave you and see you next week in sunny old Belfast, hopefully.
Lovely, mate. I look forward to that, Rob. You look after yourself, and I hope your young daughter's all good and well, and I will see you there.
Okay, Frank. Well, as always, it's a pleasure, and I will speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Rob.